with the first day of testimony in Sean Diddy Combs' federal crimes trial. After seating a jury of 8 men and 4 women, the prosecution delivered its opening statement, and they came out swinging.
Turning now to New York, opening statements have officially begun in the trial against Sean Diddy Combs. The charges, including trafficking and racketeering, carry a possible life sentence behind bars.
Prosecutor Emily Johnson said the public knew Diddy as a larger-than-life business mogul, but behind the scenes, he was forcing women into using violence and drugs to keep them in line. She said Combs had an inner circle that helped him commit sex crimes, other crimes, things like arson and kidnapping. And then came the graphic details from what we now know are called the freak-offs.
Well, Andrew, trial is expected to wrap up in the next half hour or so. We had opening statements this morning, and then they got right to the witnesses. When we got back this afternoon, they seated this jury, which looks to be 8 men, 4 women. About 3/4 of them are people of color, just to give you an idea of the breakdown. The first witness to testify was Officer Israel Flores. He was the security officer back in 2016.
Where Diddy allegedly recorded encounters that he'd arranged between paid escorts and his alleged victims, including his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Now, the feds say Diddy once forced an escort to urinate on Cassie. That came out in court today. When it was the defense's turn, they didn't deny Diddy's temper. They said, yes, he can be violent. They admitted that. Remember, that's not what he's on trial for. They said, yes, he's got anger issues, and his actions might warrant domestic violence charges. It was clever that they said that.
We saw that now infamous recording of Sean Combs allegedly beating Cassie Ventura in that hotel hallway. We heard from him. We watched the video in its entirety from multiple angles in order to see exactly what unfolded.
But trafficking and racketeering, again, that's what the federal case is about. The defense says those don't apply. And all that freak-off, according to the defense, they say it was consensual. They said that Diddy's love of baby oil, and this was actually a quote, they said the love of baby oil was not a federal crime.
And as we watch this video, I want to say, by the way, everything we're about to talk about during this live shot could be perceived as disturbing materials. Just want to give our viewers a little bit of a warning here.
Today, I'm diving into the wild rumor that Diddy actually hired a guy to pee in Cassie's mouth. Let's see if I can get to the bottom of this crazy story. Diddy paid a male escort to piss in Cassie's mouth while she was high, barely conscious, and he sat there watching like it was a damn movie. That's not gossip. That's a sworn statement prosecutors just threw on the table. This ain't just freaky. This is some straight-up predator billionaire stuff, and it's all coming out now. So welcome to Snitch Files, where the drama don't hide, and neither do we. You already know how we do. If it's messy, powerful, and hiding in plain sight, we dragging it straight to the light. All right, let's get into it for real. Because this ain't just some scandal. This is a pattern. And this new court filing just ripped the lid off everything we thought we knew about Diddy, Cassie, and the dark-ass world they were moving in. Let's rewind. Cassie already dropped a bomb back in 2023 with her federal lawsuit, alleging years of rape, beatings, trafficking, drugging, and manipulation. The industry brushed it off at first like, oh, that's old news. Until Diddy paid her off with a lightning-fast settlement just 24 hours later. That's not normal. That's a billionaire in panic mode. But now,
there's a little bit of a warning here. Watching Sean Combs kick and drag and grab Cassie Ventura by her neck and by her hair over and over again. And then at one point, Cassie walks over to a phone that's in this lobby, lobby area of their 6th floor hotel room.
We got a whole new witness, a male sex worker. And what he's claiming in this latest federal filing, it makes Cassie's lawsuit look like a warning shot. He says Diddy paid him to perform one specific act: piss in Cassie's mouth while she was clearly incapacitated, drugged up, out of it, barely present. And Diddy sat there watching it all go down like it was entertainment. You hear what I said? He didn't join in. He watched, directed, controlled the moment, like he was feeding a sickness. And what makes it even darker? The escort says he wasn't told anything about Cassie's condition ahead of time. She just walked into the room, dazed, barely standing, and the instructions were already clear. Do it. No names, no small talk, just a cash handoff and a command. He says he tried to forget about it, told himself it was just a job. But when Cassie's lawsuit went viral, all those memories came rushing back. So he stepped forward, reached out to prosecutors, and now his statement is officially part of the case. Let's be clear here. This is a sworn declaration, not an anonymous internet rumor, not a leaked DM. This is someone putting their name and safety on the line to say, yeah, I was there. I did that. And this man told me to. This lines up with the same twisted pattern Cassie laid out in her lawsuit.
And she calls for this instant services, and a security guard comes up, and at that point he's able to separate them, and he walks them down the hallway towards the hotel room where they were. Cassie apparently telling the security officer that she just wants to leave, and Sean Combs reportedly telling her that she's not going to leave.
The freak-offs, the power games, the control tactics. She said Diddy would fly women in, drug them, and make them perform in front of him for his pleasure. And that she was one of them, for years. And y'all remember when folks tried to clown her, saying she was lying, saying she was just trying to get a check? Well, now we got a whole different person backing up her claims, without even knowing her personally. And guess what? The male sex worker says Diddy didn't just do this once. He described a whole system. Escorts flown in, phones locked away, hotel rooms prepped like crime scenes, cameras hidden in the vents, cash on the dresser, and instructions whispered like code. Diddy played puppet master while everybody danced for his ego. The level of planning here, that's not just freaky, that's predatory. That's calculated. And if even half of this holds up in court, Diddy's not walking away from it. Now let's talk about how this came to light. This new filing wasn't some leak to TMZ. It came from court. Officially filed, added to the growing case against Sean Combs, and being looked at by the feds right now. We're not talking civil lawsuits anymore. These are criminal-level allegations. Drugging, assault, trafficking, illegal surveillance. That's why this new witness matters, because it moves the case out of he said, she said, and into they both said, and their stories match. This isn't just scandal. This is exposure. And the timeline's wild. The filing was added to a broader federal investigation. The male sex worker came forward after recognizing Cassie in the news.
When they opened the door to that hotel room, there was another man, according to this officer, sitting in the hotel room. Now, that is something that the defense disputes since it wasn't in the actual incident report.
He said he had buried the memory, compartmentalized it. But the guilt, or fear, got to him. He said seeing her speak out made him realize he wasn't alone. That what happened wasn't just business. And this part's important, because some people online are saying, well, why now? You gotta understand something. Survivors don't all speak up at the same time. Sometimes it takes one brave voice to make another say, yeah, me too. The system is built to silence, especially when the man you're accusing is a billionaire with lawyers, bodyguards, and media control. But now the floodgates are open, and this witness just pushed the pressure up another level. If this was your sister, what would you do? Drop it in the comments, guys, because this ain't hypothetical no more. This is happening right now, in court, on paper, in real life. So here's where it gets twisted. According to court documents, the male sex worker alleges that Diddy not only hired him, but instructed him to perform one specific act: urinate in Cassie Ventura's mouth, while Diddy allegedly watched. Now pause right there. Think about the level of power and submission wrapped up in that one act. That's not just sexual. That's psychological warfare, and that's someone saying, I own you, fully. And Cassie? She was allegedly drugged. Yeah, drugged, controlled, manipulated. And this ain't new info. This echoes what she's already said in her own lawsuit, filed back in late 2023. In her case, she painted a picture of a man obsessed with domination, surveillance, and humiliation. This new sex worker, his testimony lines up like puzzle pieces snapping into place. Let me read this exact line from the court doc summary. At Mr. Combs' request, I urinated on Ms. Ventura while she appeared to be incapacitated and under the influence of drugs. If you still rocking with us after that bombshell, you might as well hit that subscribe.
Today, his daughters were there, his mother was there, she kept her glasses on. His daughters looked very uncomfortable as we watched this video over and over again from multiple angles. One of his twins was biting her lip as she was watching some of these actions of her father unfold. He, for his part, was just looking straight at the screen during this.
Because we're just getting started. Now here's where the timeline matters. According to this man, he was involved with Diddy's parties in the early 2000s and 10s. That same window, Cassie says she was being emotionally and physically abused. Y'all remember the freak-offs Cassie mentioned? Those private parties where girls were flown in, phones were confiscated, and what happened inside never left the room? This guy says he was there, more than once. He said everything was cash, no names, no photos, security tight. But the one thing he couldn't unsee, that specific night with Cassie, and when he saw her lawsuit hit the internet, that guilt, or maybe fear, bubbled up. He reached out to prosecutors, on his own. And let's talk about what that means. No lawyer reached out to him, no TMZ deal, no clout chasing. He volunteered this story knowing it could blow his life up. Why? Because some part of him knew what he did, and what he witnessed wasn't just wild. It was criminal. Do y'all think this was a setup or nah? Drop it in the comments, because I know some of y'all thinking that already. Now let's zoom out. Diddy's got a history that looks real different under this new light. Remember the video that leaked of him beating Cassie in a hotel hallway? That wasn't even the worst of it. Industry insiders been whispering about the chokehold he had on her career, her mind, and her movements. People say she couldn't go nowhere without checking in. Couldn't take a pic without approval. Like she was more property than partner. This new claim, it supports that same narrative. Total control. Not just behind closed doors, but weaponized in front of others. There's even talk that some of these freak-offs were auditions for something bigger. Girls being groomed for more than just one night. That's a whole different level of darkness. And the fact that someone who was part of that world is now pulling the curtain back, that's how you know this isn't just smoke, it's fire. And let's not forget the money trail. Diddy's lawyers been cutting checks left and right lately. Quick settlements, NDAS. Just enough hush money to keep folks from talking. But this time, the internet ain't letting it slide. This new claim might make it to open court. That means cross-examinations, receipts, names, timelines. That means he's not in control of the narrative anymore.
The next witness that we are still hearing from right now is Daniel Phillip. That is the male escort that had multiple interactions with Cassie and Diddy over the course of years. Essentially, he said he was initially called over to meet them at a hotel because he was told he was there for a bachelorette party, and then when he got there, it was just Cassie and Sean Combs.
And the male sex worker said Diddy had cameras, hidden ones, said he was told to act natural while being recorded. What? If that's true, that opens the door to federal charges, illegal surveillance, trafficking, even RICO-level stuff. And if the feds connect those tapes to any other criminal activity, game over. And here's where the culture gets quiet. You know what else is wild? This man said he saw other celebrities at these parties. No names yet, but he said some of them looked nervous when Diddy pulled him aside to give special instructions. Imagine being a guest at a party and seeing that go down. Do you speak up? Or do you play dumb and protect your bag? That's the real conversation. Power protects itself until it doesn't. Would people care this much if the roles were reversed? You already know the answer, but say it out loud in the comments anyway. Let's call it what it is. This ain't the downfall of a rapper. This is the slow-motion demolition of a damn empire. Diddy ain't just facing scandal. He's staring down the barrel of federal heat, witness testimonies, and a wave of people who are finally done being quiet. This male sex worker's statement wasn't the last domino. It's just the next one. And if you listen close, you can already hear the rest starting to fall. The feds raided his homes in LA and Miami. Multiple lawsuits are pending. People in the industry, Bakarich, who used to smile in his face, are scrubbing their Instagrams, unfollowing, keeping their heads down. His sons, getting dragged into it too. Christian Combs just got hit with his own lawsuit. Diddy's brand is collapsing like it was built on sand. And it was. All of it. The mogul status, the black excellence image, the wealth, the legacy. It was all held together by fear, silence, and NDAs. Now it's unraveling in real time. This isn't about clout chasing. This isn't cancel culture. This is the price of unchecked power. And the real question now ain't, did he do it? The question is, how much didn't we know? And who else was involved? Diddy thought he was untouchable. For years, he moved like a man above the law, above consequence, above humanity. And now, the same streets that built him are watching him crumble. No loyalty left. Just shadows, courtrooms, and silence. He can't buy his way out of this one. Not when sworn witnesses, surveillance claims, and federal prosecutors are stacking the deck. This is no longer about just Cassie or one escort. This is a pattern, a lifestyle, a machine, and the whole machine is breaking down. And it doesn't stop there. Because as this story spreads, more names are starting to surface.
But Sean Combs wore a disguise for the beginning of these interactions. He wore a bandana across his face, a baseball cap on his head, and a white robe. But this escort, Daniel Phillips, said that he was able to identify him very quickly from his voice. And over the course of many interactions, this man said that he was paid somewhere between $705 to $6,000, depending on how many hours he was there, which he said sometimes was as many as 10 hours that he went back and forth with sleeping with Cassie Ventura.
Not just victims, but potential witnesses, insiders, and even former employees who say they saw enough to know the stories are real. One name that's popped up? A former security contractor who worked multiple events for Diddy between 2011 and 2017. In a newly leaked deposition, now circulating among journalists and legal experts, he claims he was instructed not to interfere when certain rooms were off limits, even when people inside were crying, screaming, or clearly intoxicated. Let that sink in. He says he was paid double his usual rate in cash for nights when Diddy hosted what he called Tier 1 parties, code for the darkest, most elite, no phone allowed events. He said he once watched a woman be carried out, limp, barely conscious, by 2 assistants, and when he raised concerns, he was told to shut up or leave. And he stayed quiet, until now. "I thought if I said anything, I'd disappear," he wrote in a sworn statement. "But I can't pretend I didn't see what I saw. There were women who never looked okay. Some of them were crying. Some couldn't even walk." This man hasn't gone public yet, but according to federal court insiders, his statement is now under seal and could be unsealed if indictments are handed down, which means this thing could crack wide open, fast. And there's more. A former assistant, we'll call her Jasmine, recently dropped her own bombshell on an anonymous podcast. She says she worked directly under one of Diddy's main event coordinators, and her job was to manage schedules, prep gift bags, and discreetly guide guests to their hotel rooms after parties. She didn't name names, but her description of what she saw matches almost word for word with other testimony. She said women were told to keep smiling, even when they looked scared. Escorts were pre-selected and flown in. Rooms were prepped with cameras, alcohol, and pills. And yes, and she confirmed the existence of NDAs given to everyone who stepped foot into the penthouses. "It felt like I was working for a cult," she said, but the cult had money, and lawyers, and security.
Sean Combs watching, directing, and filming during all different parts of this. His daughters were in the courtroom during the beginnings of this conversation. There was a point where they were describing what he was doing in graphic detail, that he was directing Cassie and Daniel Phillips to.
She also claimed there was an incident log kept for high-risk nights, something handwritten, never digital, where assistants would quietly note down issues. Passed out guests, bloodstains, broken furniture. She says she saw entries that suggested things got way worse than what's in Cassie's lawsuit. And she's ready to testify if subpoenaed. Now let's pivot for a second. Why are all these people coming forward now? The answer, according to multiple sources close to the investigation, is that the federal heat is real. After the raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami, the feds reportedly seized multiple encrypted hard drives and dozens of burner phones. Some of the data already decrypted. And here's the terrifying part. Investigators believe they're looking at a coordinated system of video documentation. Hours of footage captured from hidden cameras in hotel suites, private jets, and rental properties. A digital paper trail that might confirm not just Cassie's story, but others too. If that footage exists and shows women being assaulted, drugged, or filmed without consent, it could shift the case from one of he said, she said to cold, hard evidence. Prosecutable evidence. Federal level stuff. We're talking wiretaps, surveillance charges, and possibly even sex trafficking under the Mann Act, which deals with transporting people across state lines. And let's not ignore what people close to the case are whispering now. He recorded everything. Not for protection, for control. That's how deep this goes. One former bodyguard, interviewed anonymously by a major news outlet, said that some of those tapes were used as leverage to keep people quiet, to make sure nobody crossed him. Think about that. If true, it means Diddy was allegedly running not just parties, but a system of blackmail. And here's another layer. There's talk of at least 3 other women preparing to file lawsuits, separate from Cassie, separate from the current male sex workers claim.
Cassie Ventura did not take the stand today. She is expected to be there tomorrow, and she better soon. This is another very interesting part of all of this. She is about to give birth to her 3rd child any minute now, and she's about to get on the witness stand, about to have a baby. Another twist.
These women, all anonymous for now, are reportedly working with attorneys who specialize in RICO cases. One of them allegedly spent months in what insiders describe as Diddy's inner circle, and has already sat down for 2 interviews with the FBI. They say they were groomed, drugged, filmed, and threatened into silence. You think Epstein was the only one? One whistleblower allegedly said in private. That's the kind of comparison being made, not just scandal, systemic exploitation, one that's been running for years, with security, logistics, and silence all paid for. And the legal world is watching. Because if federal prosecutors decide to escalate this to RICO territory, where an entire organization can be taken down based on a pattern of criminal activity, then Diddy wouldn't just be facing personal charges. He could be painted as the ringleader of a criminal enterprise. And if you think that's dramatic, consider this. Lawyers close to the case are already calling this the biggest celebrity criminal case since R. Kelly. This ain't internet clout. This is federal court. So where does it go from here? Right now, Diddy's lawyers are in scramble mode, damage control. You'll notice no formal response to the male sex workers' claim has been filed yet, only vague denials through PR reps and friendly outlets. But silence speaks volumes, especially when the people talking are all telling the same story, just from different angles. The money might still be long, but the silence, it's cracking. The armor, chipping, and the empire, looking real fragile. And let's be honest, if even half of these claims are proven, in court, on camera, with witnesses backing it up, then we're not just watching a music mogul fall. We're watching history change. The unmasking of a man who weaponized fame, fear, and wealth for domination. Would people care this much if the roles were reversed? Let that sit for a second. Because the level of disgust and outrage, it's not just about Diddy. It's about what we allow rich, powerful men to get away with until they go one step too far. The culture let this ride for too long. Now, the receipts are coming out, and they ugly. So yeah, stay tuned. Because this trial, this investigation, it's not done revealing bodies. And trust, this ain't the last time you'll hear someone say, yeah, I saw what he did. This is Snitch Files, where we don't chase the truth, we expose it.